Ah, England and France, history's greatest frenemies, as it were. Few countries on earth can contend to have a relationship as intense as that between our dear England and France. Indeed, before we English decided to make peace with the frog lovers and became the staunchest of allies, we spent the better part of the past millennium at each other's throats. Going all the way back to Roman times, the Celtic inhabitants of what would eventually become England and France did not shy away from raiding and pillaging each other, even as renowned SideQuest enjoyer Julius Caesar was on their doorstep. Now, in the aftermath of Caesar's conquests, the lands of future England and France became parts of the Roman Empire, until our Chad Germanic ancestors, the Angles and Franks, decided to move in permanently. But they and their coalescing medieval kingdoms would have little chance to fight against each other, for they'd soon have to defend themselves against the even greater Germanic Chads, the Vikings. Their raids kept early England and France busy up until the 11th century. Yet when the Vikings were finally vanquished, their legacy stirred the first conflict between England and France. The Dukes of Normandy, who were descendants of Vikings that had sworn fealty to the kings of France, had also intermarried with the kings of England, and thus had a claim to the English throne. When the childless Edward the Confessor died, Duke William of Normandy seized the opportunity to invade England and claim it for his own. Spoiler alert, he won, and became known as William the Conqueror. But as both King of England and Duke of Normandy, he was in direct conflict with his supposed liege, the King of France. The Norman kings of England and their inheritors, the Plantagenets, would fight the kings of France over their crown for nearly 4 centuries, culminating in the infamous 100 Years' War. Alas, France ultimately pushed England out of mainland Europe. Honourable mentions at this point to Calais. But even after the English kings gave up their continental ambitions, we continued to try to keep a lid on the French. We took the opposite sides in all of the Italian wars during the 16th century, in the Theological War of the Reformation, and whenever a nearby country had troubles with its succession. The French did pay us back in kind by helping those Americans in their rebellion, but it was ultimately us, now united as a single kingdom, that had the last laugh by defeating the final boss of France. Oh, pan down a little bit. There he is, Napoleon Bonaparte. But then, as with all great love stories, something miraculous happened. Since 1815, Britain and France never went to war again. That's unbelievable. Sacre bleu. It cannot be. That's what I said. In fact, in the aftermath of Napoleon's defeat, the victorious Duke of Wellington, who would later become Prime Minister, made sure to prevent the other European powers from dismantling France in the ensuing peace deal. I led Wellington into the heart of Mount Doom, where France was made, the one place it could be destroyed. Cast it into the fire! Destroy it! No. Wellington! It should have ended that day, but France was allowed to endure. But really, why did Britain abandon centuries of tried and true French animosity right when we had them on the ropes? Well, the truth that Wellington so presciently realized is that there were other powers in the world beyond France that Britain had to contend with. Britain's former Napoleonic allies, Russia and Prussia, both gained vast territories from the war. If Prussia unified all of Germany, it could potentially overpower the rest of Europe combined, a theory that would be put to the test repeatedly over the 20th century. And with regards to the Russians, their empire was already so vast that it stretched across Eurasia, and crucially was way too close to precious India for comfort. Russia did indeed continue trying to expand in the coming decades, so much so that Britain had to side with France to stop the Russians from swallowing up the Ottoman Empire. So Wellington's instinct was correct. I mean, Wellington in general was a pretty smart chap. And I'm sure if he had the opportunity, he would have definitely utilized the wonderful privacy services of today's sponsor, Aura. In today's internet age, when data brokers unscrupulously sell your information to hackers, spammers, and scammers, maintaining your privacy is harder than ever. In fact, I'm sure that if you search your name or email address online right now, you'll be surprised at the sheer quantity of places it shows up. This is where Aura comes in, submitting legal opt-out requests on your behalf that force data brokers to remove your personal information. With Aura, you can rest easy knowing that your privacy is always protected, and you'll finally have the upper hand on all those spammers clogging up your inbox. Aura also helps protect you against data breaches. Just recently, AT&T revealed that over 72 million customer records, both existing and former customers, were released on the dark web. They recommend that those affected use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. And luckily, Aura does all this for you in one app. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping you safe so that you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. And as a special courtesy to SideQuest viewers, you can get a 2-week free trial of Aura if you click on the link in the description. Visit aura.com/SideQuest and take the first step in securing your online privacy. But anyway, back to England. Ah, beautiful England. Now, while we did keep the Russians in check, I'll admit we dropped the ball on Prussia. When a resurgently imperialistic France, led by Napoleon's nephew, no less, attacked Prussia to prevent its unification, no one dared to intervene, out of what I like to call Napoleonic PTSD. And in a short few months after a swift Prussian victory over the French army, Wilhelm I was crowned German emperor in occupied Versailles, and a new great power had emerged in the heart of Europe. Initially, old Willie, as I like to call him, tried to play nice with Britain and France to prevent a rapprochement, and that strategy did work. Napoleonic PTSD and mutual paranoia kept relations cold into the early 20th century. But his grandson and inheritor, Willie II, aka the bootleg Wilhelm, decided to aggravate Britain and France by threatening their colonies and building up a massive navy. And so, thanks to his ineptitude, on the 8th of April 1904, Britain and France unofficially became allies, sticking through thick and thin ever since. And the rest, as they say, is history, which we will, of course, cover here sometime in the indeterminate future. In the meantime, my dear friends, please leave a comment down below on which historical topics you'd like to see next. And as always, huge thanks to our gracious patrons for their selfless support, and make sure to stay tuned for the next enthusiastically rivalrous episode of SideQuest.